For the last 5 months, we have been able to get product from Team Covenant at MSRP for Sorcery Contested Realm Beta boosters. But now this well has dried up as well. How will this impact Sorcery for the near future? Let's go discuss it.
The first and very evident impact that we saw of Team Covenant drying up was that the prices on both singles, boxes and cases rose significantly. And that is of course a very obvious outcome, since the only way to get sorcery product right now for a lot of people is on the secondary market. So of course the secondary market is going to swing when something like this happens. We are seeing on the prices that a lot of FOMO is going on. People are really scared about how they're going to get their sorcery product. We're also seeing players picking up the needed pieces they need for their decks. And we're also seeing a bit of speculating on some of the very powerful cards in sorcery. The prices right now are being driven by the information that Team Covenant is sold out. Is this increase in prices a knee-jerk reaction, or will the prices continue to rise in the future? Let us know down in the comment section what you think about this.
Prices have gone up on singles and boxes overnight, and it's even been less than 24 hours since Team Covenant announced that they are definitively out of beta boxes. But they still do have pre-con decks, so go snatch them up if they're still available on the site. But remember, you shouldn't give in to the FOMO. Think about if you need more boxes or not, because people have been hoarding beta boxes, so more beta boxes will probably come onto the market as soon as the prices are high enough for people to find it attractive to sell those extra boxes. And the same goes for singles. A lot of people crack a lot of boxes, they have more singles available, but they might just be waiting for at least the non-full prices to just go up just a bit, because the non-full prices for beta singles got very low at one point. Don't give in to the FOMO, and there will be more product available, at least for the singles, in the future. And another factor, it's all about the regional availability. While there isn't any product in the US right now, and there isn't any available product, at least not at MSRP, in Europe either, there is product available around the globe. So for instance, Asia Pacific still has stores where you can go in and get a booster box around MSRP. And we have even seen some countries in Asia Pacific doing pre-orders for more beta boxes that are going to be in stock in May. On Friday, Rudy from Alpha Investments will be selling more beta kits for Sorcery Contested Realm. He will in fact be selling around 6,000 boxes, and if these are going to be flipped or if people are going to hoard them or just crack them, we don't know, but it is a considerable amount of beta boxes coming onto the market, especially when beta singles are already fairly cheap and affordable. So think about it, don't FOMO too hard, and just consider if you might just want to get the singles, because most, let's be honest, most beta singles in non-full are still very cheap.
Thank you for watching our content. Remember to leave a like and also consider becoming a subscriber for our channel.
And if you want to support us further, you can also become a YouTube channel member for less than $3 per month, or go over to Patreon and support us there. We have some really cool perks, and for some of the highest tiers, we have some cool tokens and playmats coming up in the fall of 2024.
Even though there are vast regional differences, and even though product is still readily available in some regions, we know for a fact that some regions have been bled out really hard. Europe hasn't gotten any beta product for a very long time, and now the US is also out. This begs the question, will there be a second print run or a second wave of beta? The short answer is that nobody really knows. From our talks with Simon and from other interviews we've seen, for instance the March of the Mortals, the company isn't actually saying that they will do a print run. We find it safe to presume that right now Eric Chiosa has their hands full with Arthurian Legends, and the printers are probably being occupied by that set. We know that Arthurian Legends is going to be released early Q4, and that means that if there's going to be a second print run of beta, it will probably come after this point in time. So presumably at the earliest we are talking Q1 2025. At that point in time, it might not even make sense to have a second print run of beta, since people will be, deeply engaged with Arthurian Legends. And we find it much more likely that a second print run is probably going to be pushed, and it won't be a print run of beta, it will be a print run of a revised edition. And this edition might even come further down the road. We know that we are going to see Arthurian Legends. We know that the company right now is engaged in other sets too. So our best guess is that if we're going to see a second print run, it will be in the guise of a revised edition, and this revised edition would also hold cards from other sets.
Simon, in fact, in the March of the Mortal interviews with Patrick and with Drew, said that a revised set would be a bit further down the line, probably a couple of years, because they need to determine what, if anything, needs a reprint, and maybe also it would be, I presume at least, this is me speculating, with different art to sort of preserve the collectability of some of the older sets. But now we're going to talk about the consequences.
We're going to guide you through what this means for collectors, new players, older players, and stores. First up is, of course, collectors. It is reassuring for collectors to know that Team Covenant didn't in fact have an unending supply of beta boxes, because that means that the print run is actually under control. Over the top print run would be bad news for collectors. So actually seeing Team Covenant go out of stock of beta boxes is a good thing for collectors. Probably we are going to see prices rise on singles, and we are going to see a little bit of an uptick on the prices of both sealed product, cases, and of course singles. We have seen the singles prices rise significantly the last 24 hours. And of course these prices might continue to rise, but we find it more likely that they're going to find a new level. And right now it could indicate that the singles prices for very powerful cards such as Fieldstone and Course, they might actually have been a bit undervalued. So right now they're going to find another level, and they're going to find maybe some new prices that are going to be a bit more attractive for collectors.
Beta was available for almost 6 months with Team Covenant. So during that time, if you were in the US, you had very easy access to boxes, precons, and mats for a good duration of time. And we do need to think about this game will in fact only be releasing one set per year, and we'll get into that more later on in the video. So for new players, it is of course a shame that you don't have that easy accessibility to just go on a website and click a beta box home and get it to you and crack it. But let's remember, there are a lot of singles on the market, and up until yesterday, most of these singles were very, very cheap. I mean, around $3 for a mix, and most of the cores were around like $40 to $60 in the non-fall edition. So players can still get into this game. And as we said before, precons are still available at Team Covenant. And then it's our turn for some of our older players to maybe help out people who want to get in the game. Pauper decks are still fun and really cool, and if you do have a lot of bulk, you might consider building some decks and handing them out.
So what does this mean for older players? Well, not much. Most older players have already made their constructed decks, and they have, most of them at least, have full sets of the Beta collection. Some have even, multiple full sets. So this isn't actually going to affect the older players that much. Where they could actually be affected is when it comes to organized play. Because if boxes are out of stock, and if you're not able to get prices for tournaments, that might mean that we're going to see a lot less tournaments in the coming future, and there might be broader gaps between organized play. And this, of course, might affect the old players that want to go out there and swing their constructed decks against other opponents.
And that brings us to the last group affected, and perhaps one of the most affected groups will be local game stores. If you don't have any product, if you can't go to Team Covenant and order product and just do a bit of a markup and then still offer your players a place to play and boxes for sealed and draft, they're probably not going to continue on hosting events. At least they will have to be very interested specifically in Sorcery to continue on doing events. If they don't have packs and if they don't have boxes to sell, then it really relies on the game store owner being invested in Sorcery and wanting to keep the game alive until we get to Arthurian Legends in early Q4. It is going to be difficult, and most stores are running on a very tight budget and will probably suggest other games for new people coming into the store to play, and games that they actually have on the shelf. So for LGSs and also for creating new players, this is definitely an obstacle.
What I think is actually most interesting is how this is going to affect Sorcery long term. We know that Sorcery from the get-go was supposed to be a collectible kitchen table TCG, and it wasn't going to be a very competitive kind of play. The most groundbreaking thing about Sorcery was that they insisted on only having one release per year. Right now we're going to see how this is going to affect the game and the company all in one, because it's going to be a kind of a break from now until the release of Arthurian Legends. And in this break we're going to see how this hiatus of Sorcery is actually going to affect all the different instances that we mentioned earlier. This hiatus is really going to be the benchmark of determining if a TCG can actually with Stan only having one release per year. So we're going to be monitoring this very closely.
So without knowing the print run for beta, and no one does of course except for the team at Ares Curiosa, I think it's fair to say that beta has been an overwhelming success. Without knowing the print run, we don't know how much beta is out there, but I think it's very fair to say that it is quite a bit deal higher than the alpha print run. Maybe as much as 2 times, maybe as much as 3 times. Nobody knows, that would be purely speculating. But it has sold, and it has sold well. Europe not having product is also a testament to a lot of players being engaged and really wanting to play this game in Europe, and I do hope also personally that we will see more evenly distributed product going forward. But this was a game about making a statement on the beauty of handcrafted art, about making a kitchen table TCG that you can play with your friends and just really take your time to enjoy and really go in depth with it, both with the art but also with the collecting and the playing. We have 402 cards in beta. Trust me, the meta isn't really worked out yet. I think there's much to do still, much to play around, and I think they wanted to target this TCG at a specific demographic, and I think they wanted to make a TCG that they would enjoy playing and that we would enjoy playing, and in that I think it has been a resounding success.
Sorcery might hit a bit of a hiatus right now, and that's going to be a new situation for everybody. But we predict that a mighty Gris will emerge with the release of Arthurian Legends.
Thank you so much to you watching, and an extra special thank you to all of our YouTube channel members and Patreons. They are the ones whose names are streaming right down below.
And if you're not ready to go outside and play right now and want to watch more of our content, you can watch all about Arthurian Legends right up there.